why are we all seeking escape so desperately?
Because it's uncomfortable. It's very simple. Everybody wants to avoid pain. So, but the way to avoid pain is to go through it and come out on the other side, or get some help. And as Meher mentioned, we were talking about it the other day, and she said, but we haven't had the tools. You know, talking, for me, because I did psychoanalysis for 8 years in my 20s, and I walked away from it. It didn't make me happy, so I walked away. I am very self-referring. I've always been self-willed. So it didn't make sense to me because I didn't learn to be happy. So what was the point? What was I doing? You know? And so I'm not a great fan or a believer of talking therapies, though I understand their good intentions. But the point is that the bottom line is, what's the end result? And talking about it is not the answer in my view. It's a partial answer, but it's not the whole answer. It doesn't lead to resolution. And so I think if people were understood that emotions are okay, that you're allowed to feel whatever you feel, you're not allowed to act it out, but you're certainly allowed to feel what you feel and to look at it. Because if you don't look, it will find its expression in another unpleasant way. There's no two ways about it. It's a primal force. You cannot avoid it. It's as simple as that, really.
Now, going back to negative emotions, is there an intrinsic value in the negative charged emotion?
Yes, I think so. I think it's a huge amount of energy which is used in a destructive way. But the thing is, what do you do about it? You have to address it in some way which is productive. And just acknowledge. There's a very simple process that I used to follow before with my clients when I saw them. It was just acknowledge the emotion. Don't deny it. Just acknowledge it. Just say, I am absolutely furious about this, or I am really hurt by this, or whatever it is. To acknowledge that intensity is important, because if you don't acknowledge it, it's not going to go away. It will find expression. That is its nature. And so you acknowledge the emotion and you ask a question. What is my need in here that is not being met? And to define that need. It can be asking someone, if you're upset with your brother or your mother or whoever, but understanding that the emotion is there because some need is not being met. So you're learning to understand this troubled part of yourself and to help it along. And then the final thing, which is of course the most difficult thing, is to address that second question with the third, which is asking someone else to do something different, or doing something different internally yourself, or doing something about that feeling so that it feels understood and acknowledged. I think it's like a child. If you don't acknowledge it, do you think it's going to stop crying? It will just cry louder until it collapses in a heap. So it's that primal force. It's not a reasoning force. You cannot reason with emotion. It's not about reason. It's nothing to do with reason. But it's the Achilles heel for so many people who don't know how to handle this part of themselves. And I see very gifted people being destroyed because they don't know this one thing. They don't know how to handle this primal force. And they fall down only because of this one reason. So all their great talents and stuff goes down the tube because of this inability or unwillingness or whatever you care to call it. And it's easily rectified when you have the right tools. So, yeah.